Hey everyone, it's Zack Beck. The Game Life stock saga continues to unfold as news continues to spread throughout the country and throughout the world, with millions of people now getting into this particular event, either trying to invest or wondering how to invest. And this fear of missing out, or FOMO, is actually starting to take over a lot of people who are considering actually putting money into this event. And what I want to do in this video is take a little bit of time for us to step back and understand what exactly is happening, and if you actually want to invest in either to GameStop or AMC and actually be a part of this, what steps you need to take, and also what you need to be aware of, because there are certain limitations and certain cautions associated with the risk involved with something as volatile as this event. So let's take our time, dive into the details, and jump into it right now. Alright, so as I previously mentioned, this event is taking the media by storm, and now millions of people are aware of what is happening. I made a previous video which talked in great detail about the specific issues associated with the shorting of this particular stock in GameStop, as well as other companies like AMC. So the best way to describe this is that big hedge funds took a bet against these companies. They would actually borrow a stock from a brokerage for GameStop or AMC. They would then go sell that share into the market, hope that the price would go down, then they'd go and purchase the share at a lower price and return the share back to the original individual they borrowed it from, and then pocket the difference. On the flip side though, this is what is happening right now, is that they have borrowed those original shares, they sold them into the market, but now groups from Wall Street Bets and others have started to buy up the stock and shoot the price up to the moon. And with that being the case, now what is happening is that these different hedge funds have to purchase the price of the stock in order to return it to the original person they borrowed it from. So it's really kind of this infinite loop where we're going to see this continue to grow, and we don't know what is going to happen. If you were to actually take some time to go on the Wall Street Bets actual Reddit group, you would see that they're indicating they want to hold the stock, and they're going to hold it to what they say the moon. And that means that we don't know where the price of the stock could very well go, but we don't even know what is going to happen if it potentially crashes. So if you are someone who actually wants to go and invest into GameStop, it's very important to understand the inherent risks associated with doing so, because if you're going to place money into this, you need to understand that it's very likely you could lose a lot of that money, but it's also likely you could potentially make money. This is almost a bit more of a philosophical debate you want to have with yourself right now, because a lot of the reason rationale behind why people are doing this is more along the lines of wanting to kind of stick it to the hedge funds and actually try and get some money back in that respect. So it really I just want to be very clear that if you're thinking about doing so, the strategy is right now is people are pouring money into these companies like GameStop and AMC, and they're wanting to purchase those shares and continue to send those shares to the moon. And as a result of that, the share prices probably will continue to rise. So as you buy in, you're going to be taking more and more risk on as you buy the stock at a higher price. So if you're considering do so, I just want to give you a big warning that this is a big risk and you could lose a lot of money. You also stand to potentially gain some money, but you're also more part of a historical event that's unfolding right behind our eyes, where we're seeing almost this decentralization of investment strategies, where now we have people like Chamath Palihapitiya saying that Wall Street Bets is now the largest hedge fund in the world, basically employing the similar strategies that those hedge funds had been using for a long time, almost against them, and utilizing that tactic for that distribution of wealth going in a different direction. So it is quite fascinating to understand what is happening. In addition, there are companies like AMC where you're having a similar thing transpire, but when you start broadening it out, whether it's to Nokia or to BlackBerry or to other companies that are heavily shorted, as it gets more diluted, then people are investing in broader companies because the share prices are lower. So we don't really know what that portends as far as actually taking those various stocks, as they would say on Wall Street Bets, to the moon. So from that standpoint alone, I just want you to know with a big caution, there is inherent risk associated with doing this, but if you want to get in, just continue to bear in mind the caution that you've taken and the risk you're applying yourself with, and understand that if you're doing this, you should expect to either lose all of your money or you might make a little bit of money, but you want to be very cautious and stick to your original investment strategy for your broader strategy as a whole. But this one is something that you could jump on and actually be a part of. But I also want to make sure that as you're considering this whole fear of missing out or FOMO movement, you don't want your emotions to get too much of the better of yourself. Really have a concerted strategy that you have going into this. Now, if you want to take specific steps to actually invest into these companies, whether this is GameStop or AMC, bear in mind that some of the larger trading platforms actually have limited the amount of stocks or shares that you can purchase. For example, when you're trying to get a stock, say on Robinhood, you're limited to a certain amount that you could buy. Also, the same goes for WeBull and some of the others like Charles Schwab and TD Ameritrade and E-Trade. So it's just really something you want to be cautious of, is that if you're going to jump in right now, you're going to be jumping in as it's going upward, but also you're going to be limited on the amount that you can put in. Now, this has caused a bit of an uproar because people are calling this market manipulation, and basically it's preventing the free market from existing and allowing decentralized investors on these different applications to apply the same approaches that the hedge funds have been doing for a long time. So there's an inherently unfair element of this, and that's what's caught the attention of various individuals in Washington, on Wall Street, and in the various business communities throughout the United States and in the world. So there's going to be some direct ramifications, I'm sure, from a legal perspective as it relates to the SEC. But what you'll see is the strategy on Wall Street Bets that they are applying right now looks like they're just going to continue to hold and move forward. Even the individual who made the original investment into GameStop, who has now almost a net worth of $50 million of actual share worth into GameStop, hasn't sold his shares yet. So we're seeing that if he continues to do that, that does have a direct impact on what's happening on Wall Street Bets. So I'm saying this is going to be a very tumultuous time. We don't know where it's going to go, but if you actually want to do this step and actually go ahead and purchase these shares, there are a few options that you have, and you want to really be clear when you're purchasing stocks and you're doing almost like a day trade approach towards stock purchasing. There is a lot of risk, but you want to know that you can actually limit the amount that you purchase with. You can also do a stock price that you purchase with. You can do all sorts of things on the Robinhood application, but you want to make sure that you're not getting in and then having the stock price expand significantly and then having to purchase at a much higher rate. So really look at the details in Robinhood, look at the details in WeBull, look at the details in M1 Finance and others. I actually found that you could actually go and purchase more shares through a group called Fidelity. So if you want to actually go ahead and open up a Fidelity account, you can do so. Once again, this is not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I'm going through because I spent the better part of this weekend trying to understand what steps are needed to take to actually get into this right now, because it might very well continue or it might very well crash. Understanding and knowing that as I'm putting any money into this, which I am, I'm actually investing in AMC and into GameStop and into Nokia and a few others, but nothing that is such a huge risk that I'm worth losing all of my net worth. A very small percentage, because I want to be a part of this, and also I want to be able to communicate to you guys how this actually works. So if you want to go ahead and open up an account through Fidelity, understand that you have more flexibility right now, and the rationale behind that is that Fidelity is a brokerage that does have investments into GameStop on the long run, so they actually stand to benefit from people investing into it as well. So with all that being said, just bear in mind that if you're going to take steps to go ahead and invest into these companies, A, there's an inherently huge risk associated with doing so. B, there are some companies where you can go, but if you do, you're probably going to be limited to the number of shares that you buy. And then C, if you want to look at other avenues to go and actually purchase shares, Fidelity is one that I found after doing my research, I could actually go in and actually get them. So just something to think about. I would also caution you that as we go into this story unfolding over time, there are going to be dips, there are going to be hills, there are going to be valleys. It is going to go all over the place. But the important thing to know is that if you're going to step into this, you're kind of part of a historical movement. You're going to be maybe having the potential to actually gain financially for yourself, but also know that you're risking the money. So if this is putting you at risk to either afford your rent, your mortgage, your groceries, your phone bill, your ability to actually have heating or cooling in your home, whatever it might be, if this is affecting any of your bare necessities, I would just be strongly cautioning you against doing anything that would risk that much for yourself. But that's a personal decision that you have to make. And once again, this is not financial advice, for entertainment purposes only. And if you decide to actually want to join the Wall Street Bets group on Reddit, I would say just go in there and actually maybe do a little reading beforehand. There is some very colorful language, but also there's some funny things happening right now. And it's actually been encouraging to see some of the people who are a part of this group are actually starting to go and actually make a positive impact in society by taking some of their profits and actually donating money back, buying Nintendo Switches and giving them back to individuals at like the Rady Children's Hospital. So they're actually doing some good, and it's really just a very interesting element that's associated with this right now. So you might want to read up on that, but there's also colorful language, so I'm not going to encourage you to go in there, just let you know that's something you can check out. And this is also causing a bit of a tug of war, not just between the hedge funds and between Reddit and the Wall Street Bets group there, but between the larger media organizations and some of this more decentralized platforms that you're seeing on Reddit. And you're seeing this potentially influences the way people are thinking of this. So if you're only getting your news source right now from major media outlets, you might be getting a different story than what is actually transpiring on the ground, or what slander might be happening, or it's other things that are going on with this. So just take a big step back, take a deep breath. Understand that if our emotions get too high, that's generally when we make poor financial decisions. So I just want to caution you to be wise stewards of your finances. Understand that there's a lot of entertaining elements associated with this. There's also a lot of risk associated with this, and there's potential money to be made as well, but also there's money to be lost. So with all that being said, I just want to make sure that you understand these things as thoroughly as possible. And as you continue to consider investing into this, think about the possibility of what you're doing on a broader scale of what's happening in the market as a whole. With all that being said, I'd like to thank you for watching the video today. If you wouldn't mind, please like the video. That would really help the channel out for the YouTube algorithm, help push this video to other people who might need to hear it. In addition, if you have any questions, please comment down below. I'd love to interact with you, get to know you, do any research on your behalf so you can make well-informed decisions moving forward and hopefully send the stock to the moon. And if you wouldn't mind, please subscribe to the channel. That would mean a lot to myself personally, as I want to do everything I can to make positive content that makes a positive impact in your life by encouraging you and myself to lead lives of meaning and purpose, all while maintaining balance and moderation. And if you do subscribe to the channel, please tap the notification bell. That will notify you every time I post a video, which I do on a weekly basis. Once again, I'd like to thank you for watching the video today. I hope you have a wonderful day every day. Talk to you next time.